Hi, welcome back. I'm Alaina. Are you struggling with how to balance working in your business and your family without feeling guilty? By the end of this video, I'll show you how to deal with working mom guilt and throw it to the curb. The values conflict that's getting in the way of you having a work-life balance to begin with. Then I'll uncover why guilt is unhealthy and creates toxicity in your life. Next, I'll show you how to stop letting other people's opinions of you get in the way of you feel like you're not measuring up as a parent. Then I'll give you this one tool that will help unhook you from that mom guilt, plus 4 ways to finally kick that guilt to the curb. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create more harmony and integration and balance between your work and family life. So let's dive right in. It is so common for my clients, and I have to say this is male or female, to feel guilty when they're with their family that they're not working in their business, and when they're with their business, not with their family, right? And it feels like it's a lose-lose situation, because in neither event do you win if you're actually feeling guilty when you're with your family that you should be working, and vice versa. It's not allowing you to be present in either situation. There's a fabulous quote by Amy Westervelt. We expect women to work like they don't have children and raise their children as if they don't work, right? That's an untenable situation. Guilt is one of the most toxic emotions. I've been talking about this a lot lately because it's such an important thing. There's virtually no entrepreneur I've worked with that doesn't have some form of guilt and shame. I encourage you to check out David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. It's a scale from 0 to 1,000 that's been measured in emotion and will tell you where you are in frequency. And guilt and shame is on the way bottom, the 2 lowest emotions that you can go. Shame is first at 20 and guilt is at 40. And what happens is when you're feeling guilty in your business, you're probably feeling guilty that you may be missing milestones for your kids, you're not spending enough time with them, you're not spending enough time in your family, and then you're also feeling guilty for not getting more stuff done in your business. Ultimately, it keeps you at a very low frequency, and nothing that you want can happen when you're in that low frequency. What happens when we are in a negative emotion, essentially enlivening our intentions with negative emotions, is we're bringing things into negative form. That means that you're bringing negative experiences into your reality. It's very difficult to create really positive experiences in your business and with your family when you're living from a space of guilt. The guilt that you feel is actually worse than the thing in the first place. So you may think, for example, I'm not able to do X, Y, Z. Okay, well, you can address not doing X, Y, Z, and you can deal with it, but the guilt that you're feeling, I'm gonna give you an example that's nothing related to business. When people say they don't have a good night's sleep, right? And that might be happening to you now because of all the guilt that you're experiencing. But when people are struggling because they don't have a good night's sleep, and then they feel bad and they make up all kinds of stories. I'm gonna have a hard time tomorrow. I'm not gonna be able to do X, Y, Z. I have an important presentation. I'm not gonna be on my game. The stories that are created about that sleep are far worse than the not getting sleep in the first place. Your body can handle not getting sleep for a night or even 2 or more, but it cannot handle the toxicity of those emotions. And so because guilt is such a toxic emotion, it's not, again, the thing that's happening, it's the guilt that's far worse for your body and your business than the thing itself. I have to tell you, I totally relate. There was a period of time where I was really struggling in my business. I had tanked my business, self-sabotaged it into the ground, and I was having struggles, getting it to recover. And there I was on the couch one day working, because I was working 12, 16-hour days, and I was trying to work less. So maybe I was working 10-hour days when I had my son as a single mom, and I'm on the couch, and there's my then 9-year-old son, who's 15 now, with his head on my shoulder, and he's looking up at me with these huge blue eyes that he has, and there I am on my laptop typing away, and he says, "Mom, you're working all the time." Oh, my heart sank. I was like, there I am doing that thing again. I went to create a lifestyle business so I could spend time with my son, but I'm doing that same pattern that I have a tendency to do. And that is when I became determined to figure out how to master time. And mastering time helped me a lot. Actually, I had to ditch the guilt separately because the guilt was a separate piece of this, but it allowed me not to have that same experience and bring so much more work-life balance into my own business. Now, there are a lot of societal beliefs around what it means to be a mother. I gave you that Amy Westervelt quote earlier on, and there are a lot of limiting beliefs around what it means to be a mother from society as a whole. And everybody's got opinions. You should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. It's terrible that you're doing that. It's awful you're missing this or whatever. When we subscribe to other people's opinions of us and have it run our lives, it runs us into the ground. It is not our own truth. So the key is to stop following what other people think you should be doing as a mother. And honestly, stop comparing yourselves with other mothers and what they can do. They may have more support. They may have other things going on. Or they may be absolutely exhausted and burned out. And they put on a good face to the outside world, right? Stop comparing yourself to what other mothers can do. Stop taking other people's opinions about what you should do and start following your heart. One of the ways to do this is ask, what's the worst thing that happens if I break this rule? You know, Vishen Lakhiani has this thing he calls rules. It's BS rules, right? They're rules. So what's the worst thing that happens if I break this rule? And then you'll see it's actually not that bad anyway. So somebody's gonna, there was a period of time I was really, really struggling with my son, and I needed to reset our relationship because it was becoming really toxic because of what was happening. And I did something that everyone in my community judged me for. And it was really hard for me to step into that, but I did it, and it ended up resetting our relationship and allowing us to come back in a much healthier way that allowed us to move forward together rather than continuing that old toxic pattern that we had with each other. And so what is the worst thing that can happen? And also, what's the best thing that can happen as a result of not following other people's rules? So I love to help people collapse their time so they create more work-life harmony in their life. So make sure you like and subscribe to stay up to date with my latest content, because I'll be putting out tons of videos that will help you do just that. So the key is to stop beating yourself up with self-criticism and inner talk, and realize that you wouldn't allow other people to speak to you like that, and you wouldn't speak to your BFF like you're speaking to your friend either. So stop doing it to yourself. Great process, and I have to say, I did not create this process. Byron Katie did. Her book, Loving What Is, used to be a required read. For the first 7 years of my business, I required my clients to read this book, because I can tell you, when I read it back in 2014, I thought, I don't project onto other people. And then I read that book and I went, holy crap, I actually do still project onto other people. So I'm going to walk you through the process right now. So the first question is it really true? So you may believe that what's experiencing, for example, someone's going to judge me. Is it really true? I'm not a great mom. That's actually a better one to do this with. I'm not a great mom. Is it really true that you're not a great mom? And you might say, well, yeah, it's true. I've missed milestones of my kids or whatever else. Is it really true? Can you absolutely know for sure that missing a milestone makes you a bad parent? Just because other people say it does it really make you a bad parent? Do you love your kids? Does it make you, is it really true? That's the first question. The second question is, can you absolutely know it's true? The second question, if you really think it is, I can tell you the only thing that's really true are the actual facts. For example, you may have missed a milestone, right? That is true. I may have missed a milestone. Everything else is the meaning that you're making out of having missed that milestone. The third question is, how do you treat either yourself or the other person when you believe that thought, right? So, for example, when you believe that you are not a good parent, when you believe that you're failing even as a mom, how do you treat yourself? You shame yourself. You guilt yourself. You beat yourself up. You can't focus on your work. How do you treat yourself when you believe that thought? This is a really powerful question. Now, if you didn't believe that thought that you were a terrible mom, who would you be? You could actually show up for your kids in a much greater way. You'd have a certain sense of freedom and liberation that you wouldn't be so tied to this guilt that's weighing you down, right? These are 4 really powerful questions. And then there's a turnaround that I'm going to tell you about that Byron Katie uses. And the turnaround is one of 3 things. And it's either, I really am a good parent, you're turning that around. And this, because we're doing it on ourselves, there really is that only that turnaround. It's a powerful process. I suggest you use it to get to the truth about what it means for you as a parent. One of the keys to understand is everybody is actually responsible for themselves. Now, this is not the truth for very young kids, but when kids get to a certain age, it is really true. They are responsible for themselves. Obviously, your kids can't drive themselves to soccer practice or something like that, right? But everybody is responsible for themselves. But moms tend to take responsibility for everyone else. They believe they're responsible for everything around the house. They believe they're responsible for their significant others, for their kids, for their employees, for everything. Everybody is responsible for themselves. And when you start allowing people to take responsibility for themselves, it actually frees you up and allows you to put yourself first. And the more that you can put yourself first, and I mean what's in your highest good to put first, then ultimately it allows you to overflow and have more to give for others. There's been many studies done that quality time is far more important than quantity of time. Now, I'm not saying collapse your time, right? Like, I'm saying free up your time so you can spend more time with your kids, but the quality of the time you spend is so much more important. If you're always thinking about work when you're with your kids, you're not present at that time. Be present for the time you're with them, and they will appreciate the time you spend with them so much more than trying to jam so much more time in there. So one of the keys to be able to balance, create that work-life harmony, is to be able to collapse time in your business. And I love teaching my clients and people how to do just that. Oh, make sure you go and you grab my free mini course on 5 ways to shave 20 to 30 hours off of your work week while making more money, because it will actually give you so much more time to spend with your family so you don't have to feel guilty anymore. Thanks, I'm Alaina, and I'll see you on the next video.